Okay, abusia eye Addo Boahen sisi ade or the amount for ato jemu papa wama amount for ho ehhye omo ewo NPP amanyokoma eye Akuffo Appointees ni Dr. Bawumia omo aso ayehye na yisi ano Addo Boahen say ono no why ready say obe release bank statement on transaction bia say why bia NPP appointees omo involved with scandals ni na no or ba release transaction abusuya enya asam keto akra ama say NPP appointees no omo yem ehhye omo lawyer Martin Pegu ene Felix Ofosuko ahye de ehonsem ababeto dwa mo yenko na yenkonkoti ensema ekoso medamase
is public or has been made public. Now, in this memo, Addo Boahen is essentially stating that one, he cannot tell where the AG gets his theories from, but addressing the National Security Coordinator, as your good office would have learned by now, the matter relates to transactions between your special services account, that's special operations account, coordinated account, and SPV account and BNC Communications Bureau, duly authorized and created for the national security exigencies of the time. And it goes on that and for which my wife, duly vetted, were instrumental in facilitating. So he says that the involvement of Angela, his wife, was duly vetted by the national security apparatus, that she had to be involved in it. Well, that's what is in this memo. And he details some of the transactions and the money, the 49 million CDs in question that is being accused of were used for. When we did the calculation ourselves, it came up to 44 million. So there's a short of some 5 million in the same memo that he put on. But this is it. Let's put that on the screen right now. The details as was extracted from the same memo that he through his lawyers put out. It said special operations, Taros, Scorpion, SCN1, SCN2, Hive, over 9.5 million in 2020, justification, operations, part payment towards special cyber and electronic surveillance solutions. And this was received according to Addo Boahen ISC Holdings. Operations Conquered First, Counter-Terrorism Special Operations, 6.9 million between 2020 and 2024. Stability of the Nation, Counter-Terrorism Extremism, various personnel and activities. Operation Calm Life, Anti-Kidnapping, about 3.78 million. And then also parliamentary enactment of NSB Act 2020, special, 960, according to him, 960,000 CDs was giving as MP's allowance to the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament for the enactment of the National Signals Bureau Act 2020. Goes on, parliamentary special enactment, some 309,000, another MP's allowance, election special operations, allowance and logistics in December 2020. Was for the stability of the nation. And then goes on again, election special ops 2024, about 6.7 million, stability of the nation. Election special operations, support for opposition party, communication equipment for election results coalition, some $500,000 in there, he says. And he said that whoever received it is described as classified. And Mr. Akuffo, did you receive this $500,000? You were in opposition then.
Well, I was far away. I couldn't possibly have.
But did the party have any record of receiving this money, including this one? Special aid to the president-elect.
Ordinarily, because the matter is sub judice. The appropriate platform where Addo Boahen should be making these revelations is the court. If this is defense, he should take it to court for the judge to determine whether it will master scrutiny. But just so that people do not get any unfortunate impressions. You see, many of the claims he makes are most improbable. I know that intelligence agencies engage in all manner of covert activity. But the idea that a certain party, a party in government would actually finance their opponents to remove them from power. This is my imagination. It defies logic, to be honest with you. I don't see how the NPP government would approve that significant amounts of money of the sort that Addo Boahen mentions should be given to the NDC to boost our electoral operational capacity in order to defeat them in elections. It is most improbable. The Americans have something they call a Hail Mary. That is if you follow American football. When you are trailing and there are a few minutes to go, what they do is to balloon the ball across several yards in the hope that it will hit target. That appears to be what Addo Boahen is doing. If you look at the dates, and it's important to appreciate the charges that have been brought against him. He operated an account, which was essentially a private account, but made it such that it resembled, at least in name, the official account of the National Signals Bureau. To begin with, all these transactions that he claims to have been made, they could have been made from the main Signals Bureau account. Why do you need to create a special purpose vehicle to do the very things that you are set up to do? Secondly, why does his wife have to be a joint signatory to a special purpose vehicle which belongs to the state?
You said she was vetted.
Their wives, and I'm sure Kenneth will confirm this, the wives of all security chiefs are vetted. But it is just to ensure that their background is clean and that they do not compromise their husbands or spouses in any way in terms of the performance of their duty, or that they are not revealing some information that be detrimental to the interest of the state. That is all. That's about it. But just like all public officials, conflict of interest to be avoided. You cannot employ your wife, who is a civilian and has not been formally engaged as a member of the security services, in this sort of scheme. So the explanation does not even make sense. And you've had the NDC come out clearly to debunk these claims. So I think that it is neither here nor there. It does not answer the charge. In fact, look at the timelines. He claims to have disbursed monies in 2024.
December 2024.
Exactly.
Election special operations.
Meanwhile, the account in question is supposed to have been closed in 2023. There are some of the claims that he makes that could not have been possible. The LI that he refers to, the act, the new National Signals Bureau Act that he refers to, was passed in 2020. And yet he claims to have paid monies in 2024. How could you pay monies for a law that didn't exist at the time? Or whose work, or on which work was not being done at the time? So clearly, there are significant gaps in the claim that he is making. Right. But again, as I said, if he is confident that these explanations will master scrutiny, let him take it to court as his defense, and let's see how it goes. But the Attorney General is confident that he has sufficient evidence to secure conviction in that particular case. That's all I will say about it.
Right. You say these are revelations that are an eye-opener and enlightening, to say the least?
Yes. Absolutely. I'm sure by now you've been following me. It's easy for you to predict my thoughts. Anything that goes well for Ghana, yes, I support it. So, what's happening? I agree with Mr. Fosu that these are not answers to the charges in court, because Ayini's case is that the monies left the NSB account, went to his private company account, and then from there to Mayfair Properties. So it means that Dr. Ayini is holding those bank statements, Mayfair Properties, for properties, and he's shown the properties that were acquired, right? So these revelations don't answer the court case. That's the case Ayini put forward, that I see transfers from Government of Ghana, that's NSB account, to your private Communication Bureau account, and from that place to Mayfair. So all these revelations don't show Mayfair. So I don't see this as an answer to the charges in court. But what he's done is to show us, like the suspicions we've always had, that Oga the chop when I'm running. So that's where the revelations are an eye opener. So I encourage Addo Boahen to go ahead, furnish us with more evidence. This is how we will push politicians back. He's done extremely well by coming out. But see, once opposition are saying it's not true because you've not brought the statements, please go ahead, publish the statement. Listen, earlier on I said that from time to time the tree of democracy is watered with the blood of patriots and villains alike. It's generally ascribed to Thomas Jefferson. I think Thomas Jefferson was the fourth president of the U.S., right? So anyway, go ahead. Yes, people are saying you are going to drag others along. Yes, drag them down, drag everybody down. It helps our democracy. Look at the U.S. You remember the lady Chelsea Manning, previously Bradley Manning. This is the U.S. soldier, the one who helped do the this WikiLeaks. You see, it brought a lot of embarrassment to the U.S. and the other countries involved. But at the end of the day, it's made them a better society because people will learn how not to repeat the same mistakes. So go ahead, bring the bank statements, publish them, publish them. It will help. Because at the end of the day, then it will tell politicians that we are watching. Because look, these politicians, they are classmates, are juniors, sons and daughters. They are not angels. So those days where, honorable, do everything right, they are long gone. If we don't get actively involved, that's the same way our money will keep going
to
down.
To the extent that, as we see in the national security contract or disbursements don't get that scrutiny because of the secrecy and opacity.
No, it's not true. You see, again,
when they are discussing their budget, it's not under closed door.
No, you see, closed door. Excuse me. You see, when just before we rose, there were some briefings that were done in camera. For instance, the Power Economy. Mr. Guzitano came to brief us in camera. It was not illegal. There was nothing wrong with it. There's a reason why. It is a standard that is done globally. The reason is to ensure that certain secrets do not get into the hands of adversaries. That is all. But the laws of Ghana subject the accounts of all intelligence agencies to the same rigorous scrutiny and auditing by the Auditor General.
But we don't get to see. So that's the point.
If there is any wrongdoing, it will be flagged and you will be prosecuted.
And that's where the next chapter, I'm coming to the Auditor General. You see, today, earlier on, I said Johnson Ekwuamesi must leave office immediately. Because the question is that, so these disbursements that Boahen made, his auditors, who went and audited the thing? Must come out.
If what he is saying is true. That's all. You need to have that.
Yes. This story looks credible. That's what I'm saying. You must come out with the bank statements. Come out. And then the Auditor General must also come out. Who are his auditors? Those who audited those accounts. Plus he himself. They have questions to answer. Because very often, that's why Auditor General's office, they do. You hear snipers here that they go to audit and then they will call the head of the institution and settle matters with the institution, the head. Yes, they will ask, is there something, anything that you think we will see? Then you tell them, then they settle matters. And of course, there are backhands here and there. So this case is a classic one that we must get into the bottom. Boahen, bring out the statement so that we will probe further and get all those people who audited their accounts. Plus yourself. It doesn't matter. I mean, you've been dragged down already. So drag all the other people you can down with you. It helps. At the end of the day, you'll be a hero. Okay?
For chopping our money and buying 25 houses.
No, we'll get the houses back.
The main issue, reason why you even came through, but also it was important we got your thoughts on the illegal mining. If you read the statement that this memo that has been put out there, authored by Boahen and his lawyers, there's a point that he says, I have tried to withhold classified information from my interrogators, but I deem it prudent to inform your good office that in light of the current developments, we run the risk of public disclosure of the following national security and intelligence operations expenditure items. That's what he put out there. What's your concern on this?
I totally disagree with anybody who parades the mantra of national security as the reason why certain pieces of information should not come out. Point number one. Point number two, Honorable.
Yes, sir.
It is not the fact that the way we practice oversight, democratic accountability of our security and intelligence institutions is at the global standard. It is not. In fact, our intelligence and security institutions have a field day. So many things that nobody sees. And I was a bit demented that his wife, Addo Boahen's wife, can be given security clearance to see classified material, but not Honorable Brian Echampong, who was the chair of the Defense and Interior Committee at the time, or Honorable Agalga, who was the ranking. They don't see the information that they want to see, not from the defense budget and not from the intelligence budget. You remember the Kroll issue? 2 days into the 10 days that the Supreme Court gave Mr. Domolevo to read the response from a senior minister, whether he was satisfied, he was sacked. A new Auditor General was appointed, who then went to the Supreme Court and said that from what he had seen, he was satisfied that there had been no wrong. Honorable Domolevo, Mr. Domolevo, was asking the Supreme Court for an interpretation of Article 187 and its sub-clauses, which mandates the Auditor General to look at everything that is public account, including of institutions established by an act of parliament. Now here, Addo Boahen's outfit, National Signals Bureau, was established by an act of parliament, 1040. And therefore there is nothing in the act and not in the Constitution 187 which precludes the Auditor General from seeing what it is that these monies have been spent on. And it's actually, I don't know, it undermines our national security, actually, that his wife was given security clearance, but not these other persons who needed to see the books. Third point is that if you look carefully, in 2020, a number of intelligence and security acts were passed, including the national, strategic plan. Now, against this backdrop, you begin to ask, was there an agenda to try to craft these instruments and then use that as a veneer to do things behind the scenes? Let me quickly refer to an article that not many Ghanaians might be aware of. Now, this is published by one Tony Roberts as a member of a team of researchers who looked into money spent by African government, in fact globally, to buy specialized equipment and software for purposes of cybersecurity, intelligence, and so on.
Right.
Now, they say that some African government, 2023, November, are spending millions to spy on their citizens, stifling debate and damaging democracy.
This was a
software
study.
Yes, this is a research study by 5 researchers. You know, the software came from US, UK, China, EU, and Israel. The African governments were Nigeria, Ghana, Morocco, and Malawi, and Zambia. So our government acquired this equipment to spy on it. To spy. In fact, when you read the whole article, it says that they were spying on the political opposition. So you'll not be surprised that a politician in opposition could be called that you have made X or Y statement. Now, I would have wished or thought that with this acquisition of this equipment, we would have zeroed in on narcotics trafficking by transnational organized criminals. Because that is what the tool is meant for. To be able to look at and listen to everything that anybody who has been approved by a court. Given Article 18, which was why I asked for your constitution, Article 18 grants all citizens privacy of their homes and property. So your phone is your property. The state has no right to find out what is on your phone unless the state has gone to court to make a case that we suspect that given the lifestyle of Dr. I'm using as an example, Dr. Susan, we suspect that she has some other sources of, nefarious income. So can you give us what the Americans call probable cause? Can you give us the authorization to investigate further.
That's right.
That is what the government should have been done. Some of these monies, by the way, per our democratic structure, electoral structure, who in this country is responsible for elections management? Is it not easy? So if you want to build capacity for rigorous management of our elections, do you give the monies to the EC or you go and give the monies to the political opposition? By the way, there were about 13 on the electoral list. Did all of them receive monies, including the independent candidates, including the NPP, or was it only the NDC? Now, to now say that these things are classified, actually it's a violation of the Constitution.
The recipient of this money.
Because the Constitution, 187, the functions and purposes of the Auditor General says that nothing is precluded. All that we need to do is to do the vetting and give security clearances for certain individuals to now look into the books and not to have this kind of situation where, according to Mr. Domolevo, I spoke with him yesterday, since about 2019, it doesn't look like the Auditor General has been examining the books. Because 2019 was when the issue started. And then he was fired and he went home. We need, indeed, in a proposal or memo that I sent to the Constitutional Review, this was one of the issues that I raised. We need to tighten our oversight of our intelligence and security institutions. Look at these armored cars. I'm digressing a bit.
No, it's good.
1972 Soviet-era armored cars with the VIN number scratched off, replaced with 2002, purchased and then given to the Ghana Armed Forces to deploy to UN mission. It happened because Parliament did not have, the remit to look inside the details. We're only learning after the fact. So, Honorable, this mantra of national security, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay, abusia wene ensema ekoso ewo political highway so eye lawyer Martin Pebu and Felix Ofusuko ache and ayete omonka sisi ano omoche se eye Addo Boahen be obi bia oye involved with scandals no ombonidin on release bank statement no na che se yanko ye me bedamase se moje pene kokoti sa audio we edema ya ha POG Media so medamase